Welcome to the Alpha Wolf Impact Club. I'm Tim Weintraut, and this is where we shine a light on small companies with big ideas. Our mission here is crystal clear. We want to identify, support, and champion game changers. Those companies that are tackling massive challenges, revolutionizing industries, saving lives, or making us more efficient. For example, today we have CEO Sam Rubin from LightPath Technologies. LightPath is a leading provider of next generation optics and imaging systems for defense and commercial applications. Multi-billion-dollar market in defense and commercial applications for infrared imaging systems. They are a provider of high-value optical solutions and imaging systems. Their key technology is a proprietary chalcogenide glass solution is the only glass that enables use of multispectral cameras, reducing the size, weight, and cost of systems without using germanium. Folks, this is not meant to be investment advice. I am not a financial advisor. It is for education and entertainment purposes only. I recommend that you do your own due diligence. Hey, everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Capital coming at you with a follow-up to a story that I've been following for a long time, and it hasn't gotten really exciting until this last year. I think you're up, what were you up 205%? You're up a pretty good chunk, right?
Yeah, lost track. Yeah.
Sam Rubin from LightPath Technologies, and I love this story in particular because Sam walked into just a horrible story when he took over as CEO, him and his team. And I would say for a lot of other individuals, they probably would not be here today. Sam, I think you mastered it well. I think you have put the company in an amazing position today. And I think that recognition is starting to come forth for you, and you deserve it. But I also know that there are people out there that now are thinking, well, this stock's gone too far, too fast, and maybe
Yeah.
trying to want to poke holes in what you've got going on. But you've been very methodical in my mind.
Yeah. Well, it's not my place to comment on stock price on what it should be or where it should be, right? So
Right.
we'll focus on the business side because that's what I know how to do. And yeah, I mean, 5 years ago, LightPath, when I took over, was in a very bad shape, was stagnant, was not growing, had some interesting technologies that had never managed to sort of leverage to make real money and growth. Um, we took a very different direction, changed direction completely, identified that the area of infrared imaging is a growing area that we have some real impact to make there. And, it's a lot of cleanup, absolutely. And you've been following us from day one. And, there was fraud going on and there was cleanup and, issues in the board of directors and whatever, right? And it's all behind us. It doesn't matter really. It took us a bit longer, a couple of years probably, and then we started going into infrared imaging and into cameras. And today, what once was a wishful thinking of being in the camera business and in infrared imaging is now, well over 50% of the business, is growing like crazy. We're positioned in a incredible place because of the growth in defense, because of the issues with critical minerals from China. And now, and it just keeps getting better, like even the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, let's talk about that real
FCC
quick. What
announcing
exactly
that,
happened?
yeah, so starting with the National Defense Act, so the defense bill for this year passed, thank God, finally. And it included in it a paragraph that requires the Department of Defense to stop buying any optics or optical materials, glass, like pure glass, coming from adversary countries like China and Russia and so on. That's a huge deal because over the last 20 something years, most of the glass manufacturing, scientific glass and technical glass, has moved to China. So the Chinese company CDGM has basically taken over from Schott Materials, the German, and Corning here, the majority of the industry of technical glasses, and those materials, were no longer produced here. And so, for us, it's good news. We've been making glass here. We've been investing in glass. Just recently, we started investing to double our glass manufacturing capacity. And between you and I, it's not enough. I mean, we're doubling our capacity and it's all already called for. So we're going to need to double again soon. So NDAA essentially says, hey, even if the glass is made in China and is exactly the same as the glass that someone makes here in the US, you can't buy it from China. And if you don't make it in the US, you better start making it in the US. So that for us is great, right? Perfectly aligned to exactly the direction we've been going. And then the real surprise has been the FCC. Everyone's was expecting the DJI ban, as they call it, so the ban from specifically buying drones made in China and in DJI. And the FCC expanded it well beyond that. So first of all, it expanded it to all countries. They will no longer give permission or approval to import into the US any drones made by any countries, friendly or not. And then they went a step further and expanded that to critical components and specifically calling the cameras by name on that. So while we never looked at the drone camera part as a major driver part in the short term, suddenly this is changing. And we need to align. And this is great because we have everything that is needed, right? We make the glass here, we make the lenses here, we make the camera cores here. We just haven't been targeting the drone market because it is so price sensitive. It was buying cameras made in Taiwan or China or so on. But now, the FCC and the government are essentially saying, hey, we can't inject money into the industries the way the Chinese are subsidizing their industries. So instead, we're going to encourage the domestic manufacturing by, not allowing imports of certain components and materials. And so, what was a extremely price sensitive market for us because we would fight against the Chinese and Taiwanese, all of a sudden has the potential of being a real significant market. And here our relationship with companies like Ondas and Unusual Machines, the investments they made in us, relationship with others in this industry, comes into place. So let's say next week, come Monday, when we're back at work, we're going to have some very interesting strategy to develop around this.
There's a part of me that is, and you and I talked about this before we hopped on, that because there's so much AI stuff out there, you don't know what to believe and what not to
Yeah,
believe,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that claims that China is just way ahead of us in everything, uh, and I don't buy that for a minute. I do think that in the past, we send our intellectual property over there, and I think they
Yeah.
steal that intellectual property and immediately start to work on how they can make it better, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So
I think there's no doubt that there's some things that the Chinese do better than the US. But I think that there's a very significant cultural difference that people aren't fully aware of. And that is, the Chinese companies will build a small demo, will shoot a video of something doing something one time, a robot walking 10 feet, show a video of that.
now you know
And
this because you lived in China for
yeah,
6 years.
6 years. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And all they mean in that is, here we built a robot that was able to walk 10 feet. An American consumer looks at that and looks at it at the eyes of a American market. In the US, a robot company will not post a video of a robot walking 10 feet just for the sake of 10 feet. They would post that video when the product is ready to demonstrate it. But essentially, by the time they do that, the product is great and good and ready for the market. So we look at the Chinese videos and we're assuming, oh my God, they're so ahead of us and thing. And we don't understand that really, maybe they are. I'm not taking it from them. But in many, many cases, all what we're seeing is a small demonstration of something very short term. And, we're assuming because we're built to look that way at marketing videos and things like that in the West, we're assuming it means the product is ready and they have like a humanoid robot and it can do all of that. And it's like, yeah, that's not the case.
But you said something to me that was interesting because I've been seeing a lot about their architecture lately and how they're putting up
Yeah,
buildings in like weeks as opposed to what would take us a couple of years, right?
yeah,
And you said when you lived over there, you were in brand new buildings, practically new buildings that were
yeah. Already
not
crumbling. Yeah, yeah. Concrete falling apart and things like that. So the question is, what's better, really, right? Put a building up in 2 weeks and the building has a lifespan of 5 years, or to take 2 years to build a building, but it can last 50 years.
right.
Time will tell. I more lean towards the latter, right? I mean, do it right and it will last long. But
All
again,
right. So
it's an example of where, we misunderstand what we're seeing, I think.
I am so I'm so glad you brought up UMAC and you brought up on this. I mean, I look at what's happening in the industry. I think it is something that we had to have happen, right? That there had to be that pulling together,
Yeah.
not looking at each other as enemies or
Oh,
competitors.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, really
Yep.
joining hands, right?
Yeah, and
And
there's a lot still that can happen. I mean, look, these new regulations from NDAA and FCC are going to require a lot of us to work together, pull together. I mean, it might be joint ventures, it might be just collaborative work, but we're all in it together, and we all understand, I think, that we can definitely together achieve far better than faster than individually, and better be a part of something much bigger than own completely something much smaller.
you know what this reminds me of, Sam? It reminds me of when I was young. Back there was a time in this country where you were proud to buy American,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because it did a couple of things. I mean, you knew that if you bought American, you were probably keeping someone employed, right? One of your
Sure.
neighbors, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing was it was probably no, it wasn't probably. It was typically a better product, a better made product, right?
Yeah.
And I,
Mhm.
and that's I mean I'm seeing this now, and to me it is so exciting to me because this is how the country should be pulling together. We should be pulling together, not dividing, right?
Yeah.
And for a long time, at least as of the last several years, it really felt like we're dividing in a big way, and that's how empires fall. Is when you don't fall from typically outside forces, you fall from within, right?
Yeah. Well, we can get very philosophical and probably spend now a whole hour talking just about the capitalism and capitalist
I don't
system.
want to go
Does it
there.
work or doesn't it work? And what's the drawbacks of it? It doesn't matter. The bottom line is, from my point of view, from my business, this is a great time. It's I couldn't be prouder to be the CEO of LightPath for what the team achieved, and couldn't be more excited to be the CEO knowing what we have coming ahead of us.
You started moving operations to the U.S.
Yeah,
way
5 years.
before.
5 years. Yeah, yeah.
What I'm so curious to know because
When I
people would have
came,
looked at that and said, "Man, what a bad move!" Right
yeah.
back
Well,
then.
when I took over in 2020, more than 50, probably 55% of the manufacturing of the company was in China. Now it's below 5%. So, it's drastically changed, right? And we've consolidated the China operation down. It's small. It's, it only serves the Chinese market pretty much. It's just part of the change. But it also comes from, we've gone from commodity, from making lenses that were extremely price sensitive, to now systems which are, less price sensitive or significantly more value add to them in the software and in the engineering, so that we're less cost sensitive and we can produce it in the US. And that's why we could do that change, right? If LightPath would have continued doing what it did 5 years ago, just making the individual lenses, it would still be very cost sensitive, and it would still have to constantly look for ways to cut the costs down and such, right? But we went to a much more value added. We took a strategic approach that says we need to create significant value in our product to be able to capture significant value. And when you're making components, you're not creating that much value in the immediate product. You're creating it downstream. A really good component will make the plane, imaging system be better. But the component company doesn't make money from that because they're just way down there. Very, very rarely do they make money. And so you have to go upstream to capture that value. And that's where we are. And once we are there, then okay, we can afford the manufacturing to be more expensive. It actually, is now required the manufacturing to be here. So it worked out perfectly well.
The one thing that, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you, typically, if it's a hardware plays, you are so unique in so many ways to me because you're getting into making hardware, which normally would scare the hell out of me because hardware is typically not good because it's constantly getting eroded. The margins just get eroded, right? So, but for some reason, with LightPath, I'm looking at this as a good thing, and it's all convoluted in my head. I mean,
our margins are just improving, and the higher up we go, right? Which is almost the opposite of what one would expect. You go to higher price items, you expect the margin as a percentage to be lower. But to us, it's not that way because we went to where we went to, the camera level, the system level, because we knew that our core technologies, the black diamond glass, the lens fabrication, the optical coating, create value there in that spot. And so we knew that we have to get to that spot to be able to capture the most of that value, meaning to improve our margins. And so, it looks like, oh my God, they went upstream and the margins go up. Maybe they should keep going upstream. Maybe LightPath should start building planes, and we'll make even better margins. But no, right? We found our sweet spot where we can make the most out of the value we create, the black diamond in the cameras, even in software. I mean, we are doing much more software now.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So even in there, and we knew that landing here at making subsystems, cameras, maybe a bit higher up, we can capture much more of the value. So it created this funny situation where we went, our unit prices are increasing and our margin is increasing.
All right, let's talk about the recent raise that you just did and
definitely.
the intent of the capital, because I know when people see, general purposes and this and that.
No, I mean, you have to write that in the things.
I know you do.
The lawyers require you to write that, right? I mean, if you write anything more specific than that, then you get into trouble, I guess. Look, it was a humbling experience. We went out to raise 40 million. That's what we felt like we needed. We wanted we have an earnout to pay. The G5 guys. We have a small debt we wanted to pay off of 5 million. We wanted to have a small war chest for acquisitions, right? We've shown great discipline, I think, at choosing the right acquisitions that are very accretive to us, and we think there's more opportunities like that. And I can talk a bit more about that. But we went out to raise 40. We got offers after we did the marketing of it for 250 million. And so, we realized, okay, we should increase the size a bit more, both because we were at a much better place, but also because some very large investors, they just won't participate if they can't build a meaningful stake. And there were some great names. I mean, the next few weeks, the 13F filings will come out and you'll see who invested and who's there. And there's some great names there, right? And we wanted them in, so we needed to give a bit more. So we increased it to 60. Now, when you have a demand of 250 and you increase from 40 to 60, even that is not enough. So I'm pretty confident. We'll see about it very, very soon, but I'm pretty confident that many of those players have been out in the market buying more shares since for the last week or so, and
Right.
that's we see it in the volumes, we see it in the stock price action.
After
Yeah,
the FCC news, I mean,
yeah,
then when people start, I mean, this happened during the holidays, right? I mean, this there are a bunch of people that haven't even assimilated. This is not.
yeah.
They're still going, "What the hell just happened?" Right?
Well, I think someone said to me, whenever stock price goes up after you did a raise, that's a damn good sign.
Yeah, that usually tells you something, right?
Yeah.
When it goes up, yeah,
Yeah. So, we've shown discipline around the M&A. We know the marketplace, the industry very, very well. So, first of all, we buy companies that we know that we bring to the table something that either we can make those companies far more successful, or they can make us far more successful by giving us a shortcut. So, there's some things that are obvious that we need to do. We need to increase capacity, increase capabilities around the black diamond glass. We need to make larger size black diamond lenses to be able to enter markets of long range imaging, longer range imaging, space, all the Golden Dome missile detection, all of that, right? So, there's some capabilities that we'll develop, some capabilities that we'll acquire. We need more software. We're making more and more cameras. We're making heat seekers. We're making cameras for detecting drones. Counter-UAS, Tim, has become a enormous driver for us. Enormous. I mean, we haven't announced any major orders recently because they've been coming in like chunks of 2, 3, 5 million, and at our size now, that is no longer sort of you know, significant enough to announce it, let's say. But the counter UAS is coming in huge. I mean, the US Air Force has 3 systems for detecting small drones. They call them the Suez systems, 3 versions of them. Every one of those systems uses only LightPath cameras. We're the sole source provider of the thermal cameras to all counter UAS systems of the US Air Force. That's
wow,
huge. We're only getting started there. We only are, the 15 million or so that I talked about recently in counter UAS, that's just for protecting a few bases in Europe. It's not even starting to cover globally what the US Air Force is planning to deploy. So, counter UAS is taking off huge. We're doing that, it makes sense that we'll get into more software related to that. Customers want more integration, they want more offering. We like it, it's not, I would not go and develop software from scratch. That's
right.
a endless pit, and that's a very, very different business to it.
Yeah,
But I could see us acquiring into that to some level. I could see us, maybe acquiring directly, maybe doing some, strategic agreements or strategic relationships with some companies. But there's just so much to do right now. And with this NDAA and FCC and counter UAS and all of that, there's so much to do. No one can do it all alone. So we're going to start seeing much more relationships, I think, within the industry of companies collaborating to co-develop things. We're starting to. I mean, you can see that with our friends at Anduril. You can see that at others. There's more and more of that happening, right? And having a war chest allows us now to go and do that and not worry about, okay, if a great acquisition or when a great acquisition, the next G5 comes, is it the right time in the market to go and raise money or not? A year ago when we did G5, it wasn't a great time. And
there's
we,
the saying. You don't raise money when you need to raise money. You raise money when you can raise money.
So, am I going to go and spend 60 million now? Absolutely not. We lived, you talked about the 4 year transition, in that 4 year transition, we lived with no cash, right? We were not generating cash. We didn't go to the market to raise cash to burn it. We were living from hand to mouth. So we have that discipline. We have, my CFO's nickname is Cash because, because he's so obsessed about it. So, we have that discipline. We're not going to go and pour that money down. Do we have some acquisitions in the pipeline? Hell yeah. I mean, we always said we're going to have one a year
I would
roughly.
hope so.
We always
Yeah.
said we're going to, have some of them are going to be really small ones, like a few $1 million, and some of them are going to be big ones, like G5. The small ones add technology and capabilities. The big one add product lines and backlog and the team, and they're going to be different ones. So will I do more than one a year, which is roughly what we've been targeting? Maybe down the road. My team is growing now, so we have more internal resources, more talent. We could possibly integrate more than one a year. But, when we acquire a company, we acquire it to integrate it. We're not a holding company, right? So we buy companies to integrate them because 1 + 1 = 3 through the integration, through the operations. And so we have to continue to be disciplined at doing it at the rate that we can swallow or chew what we bite off, right?
This is where I feel as though I have a competitive advantage on most investors
Okay.
because I have gotten to know you over a 5 year span,
Sure.
right? And
Yep.
I have seen the moves that you have made. I
Yep.
have seen you're very cautious, methodical. You're not a flashy guy, which I happen to like the fact that you're not a flashy guy, right? You have a great team around you. You walked into a shit show. I mean, it was a bad. I don't know if it could be any badder. It was like you walked in, boom, COVID hits.
Yeah. Yeah. The week after. Yeah. Yeah. I joined the week before COVID started. Yeah.
And then you find out you've got fraud and embezzlement going on.
Yeah.
And you can't fly because there's a shutdown on. It was like the worst, in my mind, not a good look. And you stuck in. You could have walked. You probably could have walked, right? If you
Oh,
wanted to.
yeah. Hmm.
But you said, okay, it is what it is. We're going to deal with it.
Well, it was what it was, right? I mean, now we look at forward and we look at the
Yeah.
future. But now we have a incredible platform, a great, operation to build upon. We have incredible technologies. We did all the alignment of manufacturing infrastructure and so on to the US and to what is needed and so on. And I think last time we spoke, I said the stars were aligning. I'd say, now it's like the galaxies are aligning. It's like, if things were aligning well for us with the germanium situation and with growth in defense spending and things like that, now they're going to be on steroids with FCC now, new drone ban and component for drones with the NDAA requiring glass to be made in the US. I mean, this is going to be huge. Now, it's not that we don't have competitors, right? We have competitors in glass. Chalcogenide glass, which is what black diamond is, has been around for a while. There are companies in Europe, two companies that have been doing it, but it never got adopted at scale
That's the
because
thing.
the the quality of what they were doing, the technical aspects of it, refractive index wasn't high enough, the thermal optic coefficient wasn't good, all of that, the mechanical properties of it just, didn't make the glass that useful. So, are there other alternatives to black diamond? Absolutely, right? And there will always be, and it's good because we like competition. It keeps us on our toes. But there's a reason why NRL developed those materials. There's a reason why there's so much excitement in the industry now on our black diamond. because it is solving problems that chalcogenide glass has been facing for years and never solved. And now we're solving some. So, and it's just going to get better. We're going to make larger size lenses. We're going to make more of them. We're going to make harder lenses that could be more robust, and we're going to continue to leverage that, not to make optics. We don't want to be an optics company, a pure optics. We're going to leverage that to now make, complete subassemblies or systems.
What
I
what what
see
is so cool about Sam is Sam's been in the optics. I mean, it was like in your blood, just about,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I
Well, my
mean,
dad and my brother, yeah, absolutely, yeah,
your whole life is.
yeah.
I mean, this is like a passion. This is more. Would you say it's a passion more than it is just a
Oh, I'm passion or an obsession. It's a fine line between the two, but yeah,
right? So that's the other thing that's the other key element that you have here, and
yeah,
that's why I say I feel as though I have a competitive advantage because I know I've gotten to know you well, and I know how passionate you are about the industry. I've seen the moves that you've made.
yeah.
There was never a doubt in my mind that at some point Sam was going to get where you are today. I just didn't know when. I
Well,
just
we've actually been moving faster than we thought, right? So I think in the last couple of years, we've been saying, hey, within, 3 years, so be at 150 million. Well, we're going to blow past that. So we're targeting now 300 million because, you have to have some nice targets to shoot for. So our new target is now within 3 to 5 years to be at 300 plus million, and very confident about it.
so the last update that I had with you was you had a $90 million backlog or somewhere
Yeah,
around
it's
that.
been growing. It's been growing nicely. Again, we're not. I'm hesitant on that. I know, the market wants to get updates all the time, but it's like even
Yeah.
when I update them about every $3 million orders that I get, even a $5 million order is now, not material given our size. So I'm a bit cautious at that. I don't want to start, bombarding press releases that are just, in the noise to make thing. But backlog is growing very nicely, and we're shipping a lot. And it's going to continue to grow. Counter-UAS is just unbelievable. Department of Homeland Security now has a call out for counter-UAS systems. In addition to the Border Patrol quadrupling in size, pretty much that opportunity for us. And all the other counter UAS. Now every football stadium wants to have a drone detection system. Now every FIFA World Cup, power plants, everyone, and we're the leaders there. And we're not only the leader with the best cameras for drone detection, time and time tested in the field and said so by customers, but we're the only ones that have guaranteed deliveries because we don't depend on the germanium the way the others do. So life is good.
Yeah, life does not suck for you, man. Life is good, and it's only going to get better. I mean, I truly believe that.
Yeah.
There, for those out there that think the stock has moved too far too fast, you really need to listen to everything that's been said here in this interview because this is not a flash in the pan, people. This is a real company delivering real products, real solutions and Sam and I talked before we hopped on. I said, Sam, do you think there's still innovation that's going to come? And there's no doubt in
Oh,
your mind about that, right?
yeah. There's still great things to be done. And like you pointed out, I'm a technologist at heart. And I like to say I'm a failed engineer, so I got promoted to management, but but I still love the engineering and I love the technology. So there's a lot to do. I mean, and in all honesty, people look at the FCC ban now and say, "Oh my God, everything prices of drones are going to go up," blah blah blah, all of that. Yeah, well, maybe, sure. But it's also going to get all of us working much faster to deliver results for the drone industry in the US. And it's going to be a pretty exciting time. I'm excited, and not only for us. I mean, companies like UMAC and Usual Machines and Ondas and others, some great players there.
Yeah.
And some of them people don't know because our markets tend to focus only on public companies because they And they're out there much more, just like I'm here talking to you. We probably wouldn't talk if I would be a private company,
Right.
but there's some great private companies out there, and some of them we're going to collaborate with, and some of them we're going to acquire.
And I think that's exciting too, right? Because I love to see. I love my preferred acquisition would be a privately held company, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot
Well,
of time you get the lawyers, you get the bankers, you get everybody involved when it's a two public companies. It's a pain in the ass, really. I mean, the valuations, all of that.
there's pluses and minuses to each one, right? But yeah, I do tend to like the private companies much more. Again, the discipline is so important. We only buy companies we know very well because we integrate the companies, and integration can be hampered by a bad culture or a misfit in culture. So cultural fit is an absolute must.
How is the G5 combo going?
Unbelievable, unbelievable. It's like, it's just incredible. Yeah, couldn't think of a better personal fit. I mean, we're just best friends all the way around, and so it is incredible. That said, there's lots of great opportunities. There's other companies. There's technologies for us to buy. Sometimes it's going to be going upstream, like the G5. Sometimes it's going to be going sideways to add capabilities to things we already have. And sometimes it will be maybe things like software or going,
Which I
in
love to hear.
different angles. Yep.
I love hearing that.
Yeah. Okay. Good. As always, it's been great talking to you. And,
Yep, Sam, I appreciate the time. This is, by the way, New Year's Day.
yeah.
Uh,
Happy New Year.
Happy
Yeah.
New Year to you. I appreciate you taking the time, Sam, and
I guess
I can't wait to talk to you.
we're both not hangover enough, so we're able to do a call on New Year's Day. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Sam.
Okay. Bye bye.
All right, take care. Thank you for tuning in to another CEO interview here at Alpha Wolf Capital. Today we had Sam Rubin of LightPath Technologies. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, make sure you smash that subscribe button. All of those things are extremely important to us here at Alpha Wolf Capital, and we appreciate you taking time to do that. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Capital wishes you the very best of success.
I'm the alpha wolf, standing tall and strong. They try to break me. Where did they go wrong? I'll be the monster they claimed I'd be. My actions echo for all the world to see. Been a lone wolf, walking my own way. Easy to take the dark path, but I chose to stay on the high road where the light can shine. This power they wanted, it will never be mine. I'm the alpha wolf, standing tall and strong. They try to break me. Where did they go wrong? I'll be the monster they claimed I'd be. My actions echo for all the world to see. No pointing fingers, no excuses from my lips. I'll be a better friend than you'll ever be, with no slips. Helping others, a ripple in the sea, shaping the way for a better world, you see. I'm the